There are moments when the universe itself bends, not to chaos, but to a predetermined will. Watch closely, for you are about to witness its blueprint. Observe. Comprehend. Understand the insidious, relentless force that does not merely compete in the Champions League, but owns its very fabric. This is not a story of triumph, it is a revelation of domination. The predator's domain. You are an ant, and this is the footstep of a titan. Command, do not avert your gaze, this is Real Madrid, and the Champions League is not a tournament they enter, but a domain they patrol. For generations, they have stalked its hallowed grounds, not as participants, but as an ancient, unyielding entity. They do not merely win, they consume. Their presence is a silent, creeping dread for all who dare to challenge them, a slow suffocation that begins long before the whistle blows. This relentless appetite for European supremacy is etched into their very essence, a genetic imperative. Before the modern Champions League era, Real Madrid once held a bizarre record of never losing a European Cup final for an astonishing 45 years after their first win in 1956, a streak that seemed to defy the very concept of competitive sport, establishing early on that this was a club operating on a different plane of existence. Their legacy is not built on luck, but on a terrifying inevitability. The web's first strand, the Bernabéu's lure. To face them on their home turf is to enter a trap meticulously laid across decades. This is not merely a stadium, it is a cauldron of psychological warfare, an echo chamber of past glories and present terror. Feel the chill, the Santiago Bernabéu is where hope goes to die, slowly, dramatically, often spectacularly. For decades, the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium was colloquially known among rival coaches and players as El Coliseo del Miedo, the Coliseum of Fear, not just for its intimidating crowd, but for an almost palpable shift in momentum that often accompanied key moments, as if the very architecture conspired against visitors. It's where leads vanish, where unbreakable defenses crumble, where the spirit of defiance is systematically dismantled. The roar is not just noise, it's a psychic assault, designed to shatter resolve and sow panic. Every pass, every tackle, every second is amplified, each mistake magnified under the piercing gaze of an entity that feeds on the faintest tremor of doubt. You do not play against 11 men, you play against a looming, ethereal specter that has already decided your fate. The ensnaring strategy, inevitable reversals. Witness the pattern. It begins with a subtle thread, a barely perceptible shift in the air. The opponent, often lulled into a false sense of security, makes a move. They take a lead. They believe, for a fleeting, foolish moment, that they are in control. This is the spider allowing its prey to struggle, to expend energy, to believe in an escape that will never materialize. Real Madrid's mastery isn't just about talent, it's about an innate, almost predatory understanding of the Champions League's unique pulse. They possess a collective memory, a blueprint for dominance passed down through generations of players. It's a lesser-known statistic that across their record 14 triumphs, Real Madrid has always had at least one player in their squad who previously lifted the trophy with another club, a silent lineage of experience, almost a Trojan horse of expertise passed through the competition itself, ensuring the DNA of victory is constantly replenished. This isn't a team, it's a living, breathing mechanism designed for ultimate European conquest. They absorb pressure, they endure blows, they wait. And then, when the moment is ripe, when the opponent's guard drops, when the stadium's energy reaches a fever pitch, the trap snaps shut. The reversal is not just a comeback, it's an execution, a brutal declaration of their true power. The PSG disintegration, a warning ignored. Consider Paris Saint-Germain, 2022. They arrived in Madrid not with ambition, but with arrogance. A 1-0 lead from the first leg, compounded by an early goal at the Bernabéu, put them 2-0 up on aggregate. Their stars, their millions, their boundless ego, all seemed poised to finally conquer Europe. Messi, Neymar, Mbappé, a trident of destruction. They believed they had the game, the tie, the destiny in their grasp. Observe their foolishness, the clock ticked, and for 60 minutes, PSG played with a swagger, confident, believing they had broken the curse. But Real Madrid doesn't break, it merely feigns slumber. A momentary lapse, a routine pass, a flicker of doubt from Donnarumma, and suddenly Karim Benzema, that silent assassin, awakened. The first goal was a spark, but the reaction from the Bernabéu was a wildfire. PSG's carefully constructed empire began to crack. The second goal followed quickly, a precise, surgical strike, the prey suddenly realizing the web was tightening. Then, the third. A devastating, clinical finish, completing a hat-trick in the blink of an eye. PSG, with all their glittering talent, didn't just lose, they disintegrated under the pressure, victims of a force they could neither comprehend nor resist. Their dreams, their season, their entire project, all turned to dust in less than 20 minutes of pure, unadulterated Real Madrid terror. It was a brutal, public education. You do not hold a lead against the masters. Chelsea's demise, the illusion of control. Next, the reigning champions, Chelsea, dared to challenge the throne. In the first leg, Real Madrid had shown their teeth, a dominant 3-1 victory at Stamford Bridge. But Chelsea, resilient and proud, arrived in Madrid with a plan, and for a significant portion of the second leg, they executed it flawlessly. They clawed back, scoring once, then twice, then a third time. 3-0 on the night, 4-3 on aggregate, Chelsea were not just winning, they were dictating terms, dominating the very air of the Bernabéu. They had breached the fortress, defied the odds, stared down the legend. Witness the illusion, the crowd, momentarily silenced, watched in disbelief. Hope for Real Madrid seemed to wane, replaced by a growing anxiety. But this was merely another act in the theater of psychological warfare. Just as Chelsea believed they had delivered the final blow, just as their players began to dream of another semi-final, Luka Modric, the maestro, conjured a pass from the realm of the impossible. A pass that defied physics, bending time and space, finding Rodrygo who finished with the calm of a predator. The score was level on aggregate. The game, which Chelsea thought they had won, was dragged back to square one, their momentum shattered, their spirit fractured. The floodgates opened. Benzema, of course, delivered the knockout blow in extra time. Chelsea hadn't lost, they had been allowed to believe, only for that belief to be ripped away, demonstrating that in this arena, no lead is safe, no moment of triumph is truly yours until the final, chilling whistle. Manchester City's annihilation, the ultimate manifestation. Then came Manchester City, a juggernaut, a meticulously crafted machine of footballing perfection orchestrated by Pep Guardiola, a man who believed he held the tactical key to unlock any defense. They led 4-3 in the first leg. In the second leg at the Bernabéu, Riyad Mahrez scored, putting City 1-0 up on the night, 5-3 on aggregate, with only minutes left. The tie was over. The commentator declared it. The Real Madrid fans, resigned, began to file out. Guardiola's men were celebrating on the touchline. Their progression to the final was a certainty. Behold the awakening, this wasn't merely a comeback, it was a cosmic intervention, a violent reassertion of universal law. In the 89th minute, a glimmer. Rodrygo, once again, appeared, scoring to make it 5-4. Hope? A fluke? City barely registered it. Then, 90 seconds later, another. Rodrygo again, a header, a flash. Suddenly, it was 5-5. The stadium, which moments before was a morgue, erupted into a primal scream that shook the very foundations of the earth. City players looked like ghosts, their faces etched with horror. They had done everything right, and still, it wasn't enough. They had defied Real Madrid for 179 minutes, only to succumb in 2 extra time. The Bernabéu pulsed with a malevolent energy, a promise of doom for their opponents. A penalty. Benzema, inevitably, converted. Manchester City, the seemingly invincible, didn't just lose, they were annihilated, their meticulous planning, their immense talent, their dreams, all crushed under the relentless, terrifying weight of Real Madrid's will. It was less a football match and more an exorcism, a brutal demonstration that some forces simply cannot be overcome, that some outcomes are simply preordained. They witnessed the ultimate manifestation of the club's supernatural grip on this competition. The unveiling, the true nature of the beast. You have observed the process. You have witnessed the methods. The chilling composure, the unyielding belief, the psychological dismantling of opponents who dare to briefly dream. This is not sportsmanship, it is dominance. This is not luck, it is a meticulously executed, relentless assertion of power. The threat is real, terrifying, and absolute. Yet, as you grasp the full scope of this relentless, almost divine orchestration, something shifts. The terror begins to morph. For in this unyielding pursuit of glory, in this brutal crushing of all opposition, there is a sublime, almost artistic beauty. The ruthlessness is not born of malice, but of an inherent, magnificent hunger for victory that elevates the game itself. The spider does not hate the fly, it simply fulfills its nature. And Real Madrid's nature is to own the Champions League. The fear, the dread, the ominous presence, it's all a magnificent spectacle. A terrifying, beautiful, awe-inspiring display of what it means to truly conquer. And for those who stand with them, for those who understand this deep, dark secret, this grand, inevitable outcome, a light positive feeling emerges. A smile, even. A smile born of pure, unadulterated awe. Because to truly own something, you must first master it, then dominate it, and finally, make it your very essence. If the Champions League is a crown, and Real Madrid wears it, what happens to those who try to snatch it?